Urdizzle back. I've been a little busy, so I hadn't got a chance to do the voiceover for this video, but this is what you guys have been asking for, Coyote Canyon walkthrough. So we're just going to jump right into things. Hole 1, pretty straightforward, 390 feet downhill. My personal preference here is to throw the accurate windbreak musket. I feel it's got enough distance to kind of punch through there. And that was funny. I have never had that happen before where it skips up over that rock. And I have never had that happen before. I've had it hit that rock and stop, but anything inside 65, I'm pretty comfortable putting. So that's pretty easy stuff. So it's shown again. It doesn't matter. So here we've got a left-right wind of 3. I still feel the musket is the perfect disc. You just have to be careful and adjust for the wind, but it punches through nicely. And so you're usually down there. Sometimes you hit the tree. Sometimes you have to straddle around the back of that tree, but it's pretty straightforward. Another option if you don't like this route. So again, see, sometimes if you don't put enough turn on it, it'll kick there. But again, that's still another weird kick, but that's still reasonable. You can putt through the bush. The bush will knock it down a little bit, or you can go over it. But even if it knocks it down a little, as long as you aim high enough, you can still make it in there. Now, depending on the wind, because you do get some strong winds here, you can also go a different route with the river. So the river, or even the Explorer, has enough distance to get you at least to right there, but you're probably going to have a little bit longer putt. The only drawback to doing that is if there's any type of headwind, you're going to bring that tree in the middle of the fairway into play. That's one of the reasons I prefer the musket over the river, the Explorer, even though, so right here we're going to try the Explorer. So you can try to hit that gap right there. But again, it's probably going to come up short. So that's still a makeable putt. But I prefer not having to go through a gap like that and not bringing the tree into play, which is why I usually throw the musket. Now, if you really want to get frisky, you can always get a driver and try some crazy stuff. And I haven't really messed around with this, so I have no idea what it's going to do. That is my Light Glide Ballista Pro, and that is way long. Skip. Oh, yeah. So that is out of bounds. Almost. No. We're still going to try to salvage the putt. And for beginning players, if you're working on this course, that right there, if you can hit those 90 to 100 foot shots, or maybe even inside that a little bit, I mean, that is such a mistake fixer. It just gives you that comfort knowing that even if you do screw it up a little bit, you're probably still going to have a shot at it. So here we've got the glide skip, and it's just, that ain't going to work. And so depending on the shot, if you get around here, you're not making that. So there's no point in going for it. Just kind of throw it up there, take your par and get out of there. So, but those are just mess around shots. You're not throwing driver. Just throw your musket or comparable shot, and you should be okay. All right, hole 2. This is one of the trickier holes on the course. And so I'll start you off with most of these holes with my first type of shot. I like to throw the Light Glide Ballista Pro. And if you can get it up over the top there and skip down, I mean, that is just prime spot right there. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy to get it there. So approach here, you got to be careful not to go too high and hit the top. So I'm going to throw my river and I clip the bush right there. No big deal. So just keep that in mind. That bush is fine. You can't throw it, like if it's 240 feet, you can't throw it like a normal 240 foot shot, or you're going to clip the top of that cave and not even get inside. All right, so second one, we'll try it again. Wind of 2, which I actually don't like the right to left because it sometimes blows it too much. So get it up over the top. Again, if you make it up there, you are, I don't want to say gimme range, but there's no reason you shouldn't get a birdie. So same thing here. I'm going to go river. I'm going to run it. So we're going to aim a little lower and just let the river kind of turn over through there. That's going in. Yes. Excellent. Yeah, so that's a shot. I mean, that does not occur very often, but at least giving yourself a shot is nice. So another option is to go a little wider to the right. I personally don't care for this as much because when you skip, you have a tendency. So that actually worked really well. But I'll try to see if I can get it to do a couple other things. So here from 350, I am a huge fan of the accurate windbreak musket because you can turn it over, and essentially if you force it over, it flies so straight. I mean, it's not as straight as a river or a fuse, but for a 10-speed disc, it's just money. And the fact that I could throw that from 350 is, I mean, can't ask for much more. So another option, if you're not comfortable going over the top, or if you don't have the driver, is you can play this wide right route. The problem with doing this is you have a much, much more difficult second shot, obviously, because you're way out. And so what I'll usually do is throw my Wind Glide Ballista, put on a little hyzer, and that one is not very good. Okay. So I got a fortunate, no, I did not get a fortunate kick. So that is not a good spot, so I'm just going to try to slam it off the wall. But that is the problem you get if you take that safer route on the first shot. Oh, that was bad. Is you have a much, much, much more difficult second shot, and you're looking at par. But if you play this smart, you really shouldn't get anything less than par. And I know crazy things can happen when you get up over the top and it kicks to the left, or you go too long straight. But if you really want a par on this, you can get a par very, very easily. You could even go mid-range, mid-range, mid-range. So that one was kind of fortunate. But again, tough shot here, and I'm going to adjust. So last shot I did not throw very well. This one I'm going to adjust a little bit, throw a backhand. Okay, probably not a smart shot. I probably should have gone forehand on that one, but experiment a little bit. But I'm right here. So those railroad tracks do come into play. There's that 100-foot shot I was telling you about. And so those railroad tracks do come into play if you're too far out and you try to skip it up in there. It can hit those and leave you with those shots. So that's yet another example of a hole where you really should practice those 80, 90, 100-foot shots. So up over the top here, and that was fortunate. There's actually a shot you can do up there. Just throw, if you end up top, I don't know if I can make it land up there, you can just throw a mid-range. And so backhand ballista did not work. Oh, that was lucky. Skipped right off the top. But you can actually just throw a mid-range from up top there. Just be careful to aim a little lower, and you should be able to get it into the cave. So moving on to hole 3. And this is, it can be an easy hole or a hard hole depending on how you want to attack it. So the easiest play for beginners is just play it out wide here. And I'm showing you what you could do with mid-range, mid-range, mid-range. So you just can throw a mid out here, and you can throw a hyzer mid around this and just land it somewhere on that center island, which takes a little bit of practice, but it's reasonable. And then once you land it here, sometimes, now I think I've got that bush in the way, or that little cactus plant, whatever it is, so I don't think I'll be able to get it. Yeah, get it across there. But you can give yourself a reasonable opportunity for birdie using, I mean, to go mid-range and still have a throw-in opportunity is fine. So that's one option. So even beginners can get a reasonable score on this. And I'll show you again with the mid-range if you land in the proper spot. So we'll go mid-range wide here. We'll play a little hyzer to the right around that big rock formation, land in the center. I'm just showing you the reasonable range. You can get within 200 feet on this, maybe a little closer. That tree does kind of get in the way, so it's a little risky, but, and again, these are only mid-ranges. So here, 187, that is a little bit of a difficult shot to throw in, but, oh, right height, didn't miss by much. So a par is a reasonable score. I know a lot of people, when they're going for 2 or 3 stars, are not wanting the par. They want the birdie. I understand that, but if you're really playing it safe, there's an easy way to get the par out of that. And under similar circumstances, let's say you just need a par, you don't need to do anything crazy, you can play the mid-range out to the side over here, and then instead of trying to play it around that rock formation, you can play wide right, which is still a reasonable spot to be in. There's a little ground spot right there that'll most of the time prevent you from sliding up into the water. And so you have to throw up over the top. But again, 217, it's very reasonable. It's nothing crazy. You can just throw your mid-range, and if you get lucky, you can throw it in. And that was right off. There's so 2 near throw-ins on those, and I can still get the par out of it. So those are the safe plays. I always get asked to do beginner approaches to these holes, so that is definitely a beginner approach. So let's say you want to bump it up a little bit. So we'll go up to a musket. You can play this out wide. Now, this is where you're going for birdie. You're not trying anything crazy. You're not going for the middle island. You just play a nice, easy musket shot out here, and usually you're within 300. So, yeah, there you go, 295. So you can just throw a second musket in there, and you can throw it hard. And the nice part about this is you can just gun it. Like, go after the hole because you got the rocks. There's kind of a backdrop, so even if you miss, you're within 30, 40 feet. So there's no harm in going after that. So very easy birdie if you want to get it. And you could always bump up to slightly higher discs, but you got to be a little careful the more aggressive you get. And so that one I got a little too aggressive. Try to turn it over through there with my recoil. And the purpose of that was just to get a little further up. So instead of throwing a musket into it, I'm throwing either a mid-range or a river. So here I'm throwing the river. And again, in that range, it's not a high percentage shot, but at least gives you an opportunity to throw it in for eagle, if that's really what you're trying to do. So if you're willing to put in the grind and try to get it that way, that works as well. Now, for an even more aggressive approach, you can bump up to a ballista or ballista pro or something and go for a skip. And so the idea here is to land it on the middle island and have it skip right off it, and that is really good. The problem with doing that, see, that was a good shot and I didn't quite make it. At least I landed on the land. Oh no! I thought I hit the land on that side, so I'm gonna have to throw it in from here, which I was able to do. But the problem with landing on that middle island, it's really risky during Pro Tour and multiplayer rounds because there's so much little stuff on the ground. There's that big tree, there's the roots from the tree, there's the little plants on the ground, little cacti. It's just not a high percentage shot. And then also, see, that one's completely in the water, skipped off the land. Jeez, almost made it in there. Is you've got to get it just perfect. I mean, when you're throwing that far, see, I got to throw in again from 107. So this is my point. Like, if you can hit those long throw-ins, it just makes your life so much easier, and it allows you to be kind of hyper-aggressive on those. So again, the whole purpose is to try to land it on there, but again, landing it on the island and avoiding all the little pitfalls, all the little plants and roots and stuff, and judging the wind correctly. That's probably going to hit the tree. No, I didn't get to hit the tree. It's just that is a difficult shot. So it's hole 3, so if you're grinding for a good score on this course, this is probably one where you want to get the eagle on. That looks much better. And even that one was a little off. Oh, no, see, got really lucky. So I made it across. Notice I didn't reset. I just went ahead and threw a second shot. And so here's a third, same wind. So that's a wind of 2 that's kind of helping you out there. And that one, so I made it across. That one's pretty good as long as I don't hit anything on the ground. Get up there. There you go. So I can see somebody acing that at some point. It's there. But that, again, that's a risky shot to do in multiplayer, but it is most definitely there. So you can have a little fun with that. I love that hole. That's just a great design. All right, shifting over to hole 4. This one has a lot of different components to it. And I like that you have to hit a gap. And I've seen people ace this hole with drivers, but for me, it's just throwing a musket. Like, use something that has an accurate modifier so you know you can hit the gap. And if you bump up to your ballista or your recoil or your havoc or whatever disc you want to use here, just be aware you may not make it through that gap, and that we'll see a little later here, I'll show you, is out of bounds there. And even if you happen, so those 2 got there pretty clean, you got to be careful with what discs you use as well, because if it goes too straight, I've had my accurate glide musket go too straight and actually hide behind that rock formation just to the left there, and you have nothing. You have to take your par. But even if you cut it in a little bit, like too wide left or too wide right through that gap, a lot of times it'll kind of ricochet off the walls. So this one, I tried to do a little bit fancy, and so you go driver, you can make it through. So that was my glide skip ballista. It's just, you can make it through. I'm not saying there aren't options, and if you want to ace run it, that's definitely the way to go. But as far as making it through there on a consistent basis using a driver or any other disc that doesn't have an accurate modifier, it's just it's a coin flip. And you can always mess around with the wide routes. Like, let's do a recoil wide left here. And that one does not have enough. I'll probably have to bump up. And you can go wide here, but I'll show you once you clear those rock formations, it's not just enough, and that's out of bounds. It's not just enough to clear the rock formations. You have to get it around the corner, and then the basket is to the right. So this is my light glide Ballista Pro. And that was not good either. But even getting up over the top here, it's most likely going to hit the rock formations on the ground, and you're not going to have yourself a good shot at birdie. See, that one's pretty solid around here, and even that, watch what happens here. So no, even that, I'm stuck way back here, 150 out. So I don't see that as a high percentage shot. I mean, it's fun to mess around with. I'll just have to throw forehand. Oh, just missed. So something to mess around with, but definitely not something that I would try in a normal round. I have seen people do weird turnover, flex shots to the right and weave it through, like up over this direction. And you can do that, but again, I don't see any practical value here. It's just it's fun. But then here's the problem: is it finishes left, and you're right back over here where you were with the first one, and that one's I'm buried over in the corner. I have no shot. So you have to throw a hyzer shot out here, or something crazy just to get up close, and I'm gonna mess around with this one. That's not bad. That'll be an easy par. So the play is definitely up the middle, and it's a small gap, but it's a fair gap. It's no different than throwing through trees on some of the holes we've got already. Now, if you don't have a musket or higher, you could get through there. So this is a river, and it works. It's just you really, really, really got to get a good kick off this. So that kicked off the rocks and down there. But if you just making it through, now you're going to leave yourself 100 plus, so 109, which again is makeable. And we're going to have a little fun here and throw a forehand. Yeah, that's too low. I just thought I'd mess around with that a little bit. But you can get through the gap and probably get your par. It's just kind of a low percentage shot compared to the shots you can get with a musket. And as I mentioned earlier, this is my mid-range, which is not going to make it through. I want to show you what happens if you do not make it through the gap and you land in here. You think, oh, sweet, I've got a nice, easy shot. Nope, you are stuck. You are out of bounds. So I'm going to rethrow that one just to kind of mess around with it a little bit. See, I just had to go backhand there. So anything up through this area, not getting through the gap, is going to be out of bounds. And so if you do go out of bounds, there is a drop zone here. So we'll just throw, I meant to go to the drop zone here, so we'll just throw it out of bounds on purpose. Is the drop zone is down on the other side. So 177 feet. And you got a tree in the way, so you got to be careful. I'm going to throw my usual forehand approach. Let's see if we can bang it in. Ooh, just missed it. Just off. So reasonable shot to make, but that is, again, if you make that, you got a par because that's the drop zone. So definitely not a high percentage shot. So those first 4 holes are pretty diverse. A couple challenging ones, but very reasonable. So if you're really going for score, this is hole 5. You basically, and I think I turned that over too much. Yep, right into that. This is one where you really want to eagle it. So if you're going for a solid score, you kind of want to eagle this one. Most of the other ones without the grind are going to be birdies. Hole 3 is one you can definitely eagle. And there's some other opportunities to get some strokes. But for the most part, this is the one you really want to eagle. It's 600 plus, but it's very reasonable. Although the pin placement here, I've had some really, really, really good drives. That's a tough putt. But I've had some really good drives that just make it down here, and I just don't have a shot because it's too close to the rock formation. So what you want to do is, I like playing this gap to the left between these two and just throw my glide, skip. Oh, just missed. Now, the only drawback is you see those bushes. Yeah, those. And even the one before that to the right just leaves you with quite a long shot here. But that's a reasonable uphill 96-footer. So anywhere out there is good, but again, you got to watch when you skip. I've hit pretty much everything out in that wide open, and it slows it down and gives you kind of a low percentage shot coming in. But a win of 3 is just a perfect win for this. Play it out wide, big skip. That is perfect. And it's far enough up there to give me a reasonable shot, but not close enough that I have to worry about anything that I can't make. And even that was actually a pretty tough shot. Uphill, 60 feet, with a 3 headwind that can blow out very easily. So to me, that is the best route. You can always mess around with going, there's a couple turnover routes like up around there, and I've seen that, and it works. The problem is you got to keep it turning, because now I'm going to ricochet off there. That was fortunate. I very easily could have been behind that. So this is what I was talking about. You're right here. This is a tough putt. So I got to find, so aim a little bit higher and putt it and see what hit. Oh, I made it. Oh, yes. Yeah, that is not an easy putt. I mean, if you're right up on that, that is tough. That was kind of a lucky eagle. I'm not going to lie. All right, and you can also go this middle route with, that's a musket, if you're just playing it for birdie. But again, this one, I don't like playing it safe on this hole because, ooh. So even there, I kind of leaked out a little left. Is even when you play it safe, like, what do you do right here? You lay it up, but then you are kind of at the mercy. So that one, I intentionally aimed out to the right so that I didn't end up right against the rocks there and have no shot. But even that, a 47-foot putt uphill, that is not a gimme. So I don't know if there's really any gimme on this other than maybe, oh, yes. Oh, see, I completely missed that one. Wasn't even paying attention. Went long and over the top and came back down. So even on that one, I tried laying up and it just didn't work for me. But you can mess around with a lot of different shots on that hole and have some fun with it. All right, hole 6. This is one where I don't think there's very many lines to this one. Any high percentage lines. So what I'll do is I'll play a forehand accurate glide musket out wide left here and just have it slide. It does like to slide downhill. And anywhere down there, right there, that's in putting range. I mean, that is an ideal shot. And so I really like the forehand. When it's a headwind or a head crosswind, sometimes that musket doesn't quite get down there, so you have to go up to recoil. Like this is a tricky wind with a wind of 3 because it's already pushing the disc to the right. And so you could go backhand. The problem with backhand is you can go like right here. That's going to go long. I don't know how long. Okay, so that's actually pretty reasonable, but it's downhill so much. So 64 feet, I think I can make this with a putt. Yes, there we go. So that downhill, the disc will have a tendency to slide a lot further than you think it will. I don't think an Explorer or a River is enough to get down there. It's a musket. But now here's the problem why I take the forehand route. So see how wide open it is over here? So now that was a driver. Watch how far this goes. Down, down. Oh, see, so the recoil actually worked out pretty well. But if I bump up to like a ballista, that thing is gone. Now, if we disc up from, so that last one was the recoil. Let's go up to the wind glide ballista. Again, forehand, out wide here. It's just too much disc. Like it looks good, but then right about here, you can tell it's just sailing and gone. And yeah, it's safe up there, but man, I'm kind of buried in these weird looking, oh wow. Yeah, see, I was in that tree, that weird looking tree. And so I hit one of the branches, just ricocheted out. And 64 feet, that's, again, for me, that is a putt. And it's downhill a little bit with the tailwind, so that's not too bad. But, so the ballista is just way, way, way too much disc. And the reason I don't take backhand is there's that tree dead center just to the right, and then that rock formation. There's just, I don't see a good backhand path. So if you want to, you can kind of play this wide route here. And I'm going to play this with a skip. That is actually too deep. Well, it still is going to give me a shot. It's pretty fortunate. I did not quite have enough hyzer on that. So 84 feet, 3 tailwind. That's pretty easy shot for me, but I know that is not a gimme for a lot of people. So it's a little too far wide. So you can still play that wide route. Again, if you're going to go backhand, you got to go wide around here. I just don't see an inside route. So I'm going to play that one a little higher, and that should skip back towards the basket or long. That might actually go way long. Oh, wow, yeah. So see, there's that downhill. Anything driver is just crushed. So 81 feet. And here it is again, guys. If you can just learn those 80 to 100 foot throw-ins, not even out to 120, just making those can make a huge difference on your game. Hole 7 is such a great hole. There's so many different options you can take depending on your discs. If you don't have any big drivers and you just want to play it safe, you can throw a fuse right down here to the edge of the water and give yourself a throw-in opportunity from, this is 200, which not a high percentage shot, but very, very reasonable. So I'm going to throw my forehand. See if we can get it close. Oh, that's dead on, but too high. Yep. So it's there. Nice, safe option. You're not bringing any OB into play unless you get any weird, crazy deflections off the basket. So that's an option. My personal preference on this hole is just to throw Ballista or Ballista Pro. So this one, we'll go Ballista Pro. Actually, let's go light or a wind glide Ballista and just slam it. Don't worry about going long. And that one, hopefully can get across. Ooh, just barely. Is you got that wall behind you. So who cares? As long as you get over the water, you're going to have a reasonable shot at that. So 28 feet. And that's the plan. Now, if you don't have those drivers, the Ballista Pro or the Ballista or anything big like that, I don't know for recoil, a normal recoil will be enough. So here's the Ballista Pro. And again, my goal is just to slam it into that wall if I can or up over the top. And that one, I hope I got a shot at it. No. See, that is the worst spot to be in. There's just nothing right there. I'm going to have to just kind of putt this around and hope I get it up there. So that's the one spot there you got to worry about. So if you can kind of hyzer it around and get it down there somewhere in this little valley, and you should have a pretty reasonable shot. Let's try that Ballista Pro again because I think we can get a better result. So you just have to be careful. You don't want to put too much hyzer on it. Otherwise, you clip that rock formation just to the left of where I'm aiming. And so like right there. Oh, that is perfect. Yep, right down there, easy shot. And again, that one, with a good shot, you can ace that. That's right there. So the only difficulty, I think, on a shot like that is you got to watch when there's a left to right wind of 3. That can make things a little challenging. Now, what if you don't have one of those big drivers and you still want the high percentage birdie shot? There really isn't a high percentage one on this side of the water. So what you can do is actually play this sneaky little route off to the left. There's a surprisingly wide open area here that gives you a little closer look. So 169, I mean, not super close. I'm going to go forehand here, see if I can make it. I've missed a couple, but I like these. Get it. Get it. Oh, so close. But you can push the limits a little bit depending on the discs you have in your bag. But that's a pretty easy par. You can play something that has a little more distance, a little more hyzer, and try to get it down a little further to the left, maybe even inside 120, 110 feet. So let's try to get a little more aggressive with the musket. That was not a good shot. So there's the drawback. So I tried to get a little aggressive. So we're just going to reshoot because I'm not worried about score here. So that is my musket. Played it a little wider. And so now watch where this one lands. You got the hill there. And there's OB, but the whole filters down towards the basket. And the only thing here is I hope those rock for. Okay, so 109. So this is actually a very, very reasonable shot. See if I can put it in here. And left that one a little short. So that is the option for those of you that don't have big discs. You can play no Ballista and no Ballista Pro or anything like that. You can just throw it down to the left. Hole 8, it's a kind of an ace run hole. Just you don't want to leave it short. I like to throw my accurate wind musket just to make sure to get it across and just slam it in there. Easy birdie. You can get aggressive. Like most instances, the river is not quite enough to get there, especially if the wind starts blowing. But you can definitely ace this one. So we're going to throw, let's just aim about right here. And that is not going to make it across. Oh, it did. Okay. That wasn't too bad. I know I've done the mid-range challenge here, and mid-range, if there's any headwind, will not get across. If it's a tailwind or left to right, right to left wind, you can usually get it. There's a spot over here, like to the left, where I'm aiming to get that. See, like that one mid-range, that's just not enough disc. So not advisable to throw mid-range. If that's all you got, that kind of sucks. You might want to get yourself a better disc. So you can throw it over this direction, and that is the shortest way to get across. There you go. And so if you've only got a mid-range and the wind is not awful, you can get yourself right over here, and that's a decent shot. Now, anything down in the valley is not good. You can also throw a forehand, like a forehand musket. Let's try this. So an accurate glide musket, you could throw that, and that'll most likely get across. And that looks like that can be a pretty reasonable ace run. You just got to worry about going long. And so now I'm back to where I was. I'm kind of stuck in these little weird branches. Oh, yeah, look at that. Holy cow, that just ricocheted. So that's something to keep in mind on this course. If you're stuck in those little weird shaped trees, that those branches can kick you any which way. That's twice it's done it to me now. So I said before the canyon is OB, so let's just throw one down in the canyon here to show you what happens. You do get taken to a drop zone. The drop zone is a scary shot if you're trying to run it. So let's just throw it down here. So 172, slightly downhill. You miss, you're going back down into the canyon. So this is very risky, and of course we're going to go for it. Oh, get in, get in. Oh, that'd have been sick. So that was high. That probably should have ricocheted out of bounds. Let's aim a little lower. I just re-threw. I'm trying to make this. There we go. That's better. So first one was a little high. And that's one, like any drop zone, you could always practice that to make sure you know what it looks like. And I think in most scenarios, that's going to be a layup because you don't want to go out of bounds over and over and over and over again. So let's try that drop zone again. Have a little fun. I don't know why they put a line down here because it's even if you're inside the line, you're out of bounds. Okay, stop rolling any day now. Any day. Thank you. The smart play from the drop zone is just to kind of do a tiny little half shot. Whoa, that's almost too much too. Whew. I could have very... So you really don't have to put much on that. It's 172. Let's see if we can do one line right there. Should be enough. Yeah, see, even that, and it'll slide right up for a tap-in. So So it tells you that there's just not a whole lot to that. Now, if you want to run it, you do your thing, but just be where you've got that out of bounds. And just for fun, we're going to play a skip disc off this to see if we can get it across. Up, 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 up. Not quite. That might be one to have a little fun with. Maybe a light skip ballista and just slam it off there and see if it'll go across. But probably not with that particular one. So again, for me, my money, it's, oh wow, even that one, I thought that was, so that was the Explorer, which I don't normally throw, or I wouldn't throw in this hole. So that's my shot right there. Just the accurate wind musket, get it across. Hit that tree if you can. You're good to go. Maybe you have to straddle putt. Easy birdie. Unless you're trying to ace run it. This is just such a fun course to play. I know a lot of people were frustrated with Owlwood and Cahoe Park, but this course is just fun. Challenging, but reasonable. Which leads us to hole 9. That was not a good shot. So the only thing you got to worry about right there is that big rock formation. If you can get left or right of it, and here, where the hell am I? I'm like hidden behind there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to throw, but I'm up against this wall, so it's kind of hard to aim. So I don't know really what I'm gonna do here. I'll have to aim lower, but that might push it to the right. Yeah, that was not good. Skip up, skip up. See, that was just a weird spot. I've never been that close on this hole so that I couldn't see where I was aiming. All right, 85 feet. Let's get the bird. Get the bird. Yes. This hole's gotten me a couple times when I've had good rounds going and end up parring it. So you can play the backhand out to the left. You can also do this, the forehand out to the right. But again, you gotta make sure to clear that rock formation, and that's probably not gonna work. Yep, I am stuck. So that's a drawback. You want to be about 20 feet to the right to give yourself an opportunity here, and I just don't. I'm gonna have to put a huge amount of hyzer on this one, but it's still probably not gonna get through. That was a lot closer than I thought it was gonna be. So placement off the tee is essential. You could always go with maybe a wind glide ballista or something long. Let's see if we can get that now. To position yourself correctly. But I prefer the skip disc because if you do it correctly, it'll give you a nice extra bit of distance that'll make your second shot a little easier. So let's see if we can do, well, what do we want to try here? Let's try that forehand again. Let's go the glide skip ballista. There we go. That's better. So skip. Stay out of those. That is ideal. Yeah, that is for me, that's probably what I would do in a round. You just got to keep your second shot low here, and we're going to try to skip that one up there, skip off. Didn't quite get the skip I was looking for, but that's one where you can play the skip on your second shot and maybe get an eagle on it. That'd be a hell of an eagle to get. But birdie's pretty standard stuff on a hole that's quite a bit longer than most of the other ones on this. I mean, almost 900 feet. So here's that position play I was telling you about. This is the wind glide ballista. So you can play it. So you don't have to worry about any crazy skips. Just play it kind of out here. And that's pretty good shot as well. Anywhere out here, you got a nice wide open area. You just got to play it a little low. And be careful when you play it low, because when you play it low, what's going to happen is, let's see this one I want to skip up there. It's going to turn over more. So you just got to be careful where you're aiming, get it underneath there. That's 2 in a row. I didn't really get the skips I was looking for. I was hoping to kind of skip that up there and at least give it a shot at eagle, but no bueno. And just for fun, let's do mid-range only. So let's say you don't have a lot of long plastic, no drivers, no muskets or anything. This is still a very reasonable par to get. So mid-range there, 260, 270. Second shot, play it all to the left. So your second shot here is where you want your first shot to be normally anywhere. Actually, that's well past that. Oh, that's perfect. Wow, that was a great second shot. And third, even though it's 300 feet, you can usually get it up there within putting range. And again, most people aren't going to do this, but just know that if you need to play it safe or do a smart shot with the mid-range, you've got it. But any of these uphill ones, it's easy to miss them. You can kind of, especially if you're using a dagger instead of a fuse or a pure, you can leave it out to the left. So great course, lots of fun. So let's go ahead and do a playthrough round here just to show you some of those techniques and what I would use if I was actually playing around. Because there were a lot of shots I threw out there that I don't think I would actually throw in a round. So hole 1, we usually go accurate, windbreak, musket, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and throw river because there is a favorable wind. Remember, I said you got to watch those trees right there, which that was a little too close for comfort, but I thought with that wind I'd be able to carry it, and that worked out pretty well. So easy birdie, no reason not to get that one. Hole 2 is basically where you can do some damage, either good or bad. So I'm going to play up over the top with the Ballista Pro Light Glide and get it up. There we go. Perfect. And that is a really, really, really good skip. So this should give me a nice eagle opportunity. So 235, I will throw my river, aim a little low to the right, or excuse me, to the left. Yeah, it turned a little bit too much. Yeah, still decent run though. I'll take that, birdie. So that's one you can easily get. If you play it smart, you can get par, but this can turn into an ugly hole very quickly if you get out of position. All right, hole 3, since I'm trying to play for a good round, I'm probably not going to go for the crazy skip eagle. Again, I'm not trying to show you guys a record round. This is just a good solid round using all the techniques. So I'm going to throw my musket. And 337, I got to go accurate glide musket or recoil here. And we're going to go accurate glide musket just to get it up there. And that was actually a pretty good shot. A little short. I'd considered bumping it up just to give it a run, but I'm okay with the accurate disc. Again, not trying to do anything crazy on that one, just trying to get the birdie and eagle if I'm lucky. Hole 4, I told you guys this is accurate wind musket all day long. With a wind of 2, this should be... I'm going to be upset if I'm not within about 40 or 50. Oh, see, I got a really bad clip there. I'm going to have to throw this one in. Am I in putt range? I am not, so I'm going to have to throw this in. That is, with that favorable wind, I was definitely not happy with a 70-foot throw-in, but that's still a pretty high percentage shot for me. All right, hole 5, this is the one of all of them. I'd like to get all birdies, but this is one I'd really like to eagle. So we're going to play this out wide, and that's... Missed that. Ooh, just barely. Let's see if we can get a fortunate spot here. Oh, that's perfect. Nice spot to be right here. Good location, 70 feet, nothing in the way. I like those. Again, I didn't want to get too close, so that was definitely fortunate to miss that rock formation on the left. And then hole 6 here, we're just going to go musket, as I said before. Now, wind to 3, I don't like that wind to 3 because that's going to carry it a little further than I like, so I'm going to put a little bit of turn on it. And even though that looks short, watch what happens here. It's just going to skip. Just slides right down. That should be within 50. Yep. Nice putting range. No worries there. Even with the wind of 3, that's why I love putting with a fuse. I don't even really think about a wind of 1, 2, or 3 when I'm putting. All right, this guy, that's a good wind. That wind of 1, I'm going to aim a little wider here. That wind of 1 will actually keep me out to the side. Oh, that is perfect. Should get a nice skip kick off the wall. Boom, back. Oh, yeah, look at that. That is tapping, baby. That does not happen very often, but that's that Ballista Pro for you. All right, hole 8. And again, I'm going to go river here, and I know the river's not quite enough to ace run it. Remember, I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I'm just trying to get it up there. Oh, that'd have been a nice little skip off that rock. Just trying to get the bird. That's one of those where you can always... Hole 3, you can press for the eagle. This one you can ace run, but that's not the purpose of this run. All right, hole 9, we're going to go ahead and just play our nice placement shot here, and that one needs to get to the left, though. There's that, but again, there's that wind glide ballista, just nice placement shot, 476. I should be able to get this up really close. We're going to play the skip disc. I remember last 2 rounds I did not get good skips. Get up there. That'll play. So yeah, there's your round. So that's a 10 under round on Coyote Canyon. Such a great course. Some creative shots, some nice par 4s. I really enjoy this course. It's definitely one of my favorites. So hopefully you enjoyed the walkthrough. Tried to give you a mix of shots, and good luck getting your 3 stars.